sorry, folks. It's just, other than the usual horse shit, there's real. We really ain't got no Doctor Who news. And someone said, Shooty had been at the Met Gala and all that. So I looked this thing up. I'm not even sure what a Met Gala's for, really, but my God, it was worth it for the laugh value. Some of the outfits that people were wearing to this thing, especially Whoopi Goldberg looked like the Mad Hatter. I was like, what? Oh man! And then the fact that or as somebody put it, it was prom night for the upper 1%, because that's basically what it was. But what amazed me is, oh man, somebody once years ago put up some pictures of your typical stars going to this. I can't remember if it was the MTV Awards or something like that. It was actually, it was one of the big award shows, and you've got people scantily clad, barely wearing anything. But then they show the pictures from the adult video awards, and everybody there is, all the women there are dressed in beautiful dresses, you know, and dressed regally. And I'm going, wait a minute. So the gals who, well, let's just say do things that we won't discuss on a family channel are dressed with more class than the people who are getting paid how many dollars to be the upper elite. I'm like, but the Met Gala took the taco. Oh, well, speaking of tacos, my God. Oh, let me put it to you in a polite way. I saw more starfish and clams than I ever did when I used to, when my family used to go down to Florida on the beach at low tide. Okay, was this a mission to show? I'm not kidding. I wanted to call it, Mission JJ or something. What do you call it? Mission Vajayjay or Operation Vajayjay. Let's see how much of that we can show. And then, of course, I don't mind a backless gown every now and then, but it gets to the point that I can look down and see your cinnamon ring. That really, really worries me. I'm sorry, but ma'am, could you please cover your starfish? Yeah, it's kind of like puckering at all of us, and that's just not a. I've seen the quote unquote finale leaks. Here's the problem. My too good to be true alarm started going off. Um, we had. That's why I didn't even really want to discuss it, because I've seen this kind of thing before. Somebody once sent, me the quote unquote script for the 50th anniversary special, and I knew within the first couple pages this was total bullshit, because just the effects budget alone for what was on those first few pages would have been beyond anything they could have afforded. And the storyline, I'm talking, this thing would have taken at least a couple hours, if not more, on screen time than it would have. The quote unquote 75 minutes is long enough. Yeah, 75 minutes for your 50th anniversary. That was the same length as The End of Time Part 2, a departure episode for David Tennant. But here's the problem. Whenever you see the name Susan, now you got to wonder, is that Susan Triad or is that Susan, what do you call it? I don't care if they're mentioning some tree, blah, blah, blah. I'll believe it when I see it, because I've become very, very skeptical and very, very cynical as far as these quote-unquote leaks go. Because what they'll do is they'll play to fan expectations to make it seem like, you've got that part of you that, is eager for it to be true. So you want to believe it. and you've got to turn that off. And like I said, I'd love this to be true. I really would. But here's the thing. There's one time, if I remember correctly, I think this happened back during the 50th anniversary year. Yeah, there were fake scripts being leaked deliberately. I remember because somebody claimed they found this one script and it was sitting in a taxi cab. Folks, it's like, and then of course you got people who are creating fake scripts just for their jolly so they can touch themselves in funny ways. You see, like I said, though, I'm not hopeful. They've not had Carol Ann Ford on this show once in the last 20 years. You've had how many people show up on the, now we're talking on the main show now. How many other companions have shown up now in the last 20 years? By the way, thank Chibnall for some of those, especially William Russell, who passed away shortly after. You see, that's all I wanted, for, like an older companion. I don't care if they show up for 50 years. I don't care if they show up for 5 minutes. Or, even if, just to sit there. That's what William Russell did. He was in his 90s. And that scene more than made it up for me. I'm like, okay, this is what I wanted from the 50th anniversary special, and we never got it. But, yeah, that's because Power of the Doctor is more of an anniversary special than any other anniversary specials were. And that was the centenary BBC episode. I'm like, but, like I said, the Met Gala photos were just, folks, the reason why I brought this up is, and I saw this on another cast, they zoomed up on this one lady's underwear because she wasn't wearing any pants, by the way. That would seem to be the big thing. Let's walk around in our underwear. This lady had custom-made underwear. And right on top of her happy place was a picture of Rosa Parks. And I'm sitting here like, she went from, civil rights icon to be named after, and had an asteroid named after, to being on the front of your underwear. Oh. That's what I love about these things. The problem is you can't attach any significance to that. She was the governor. Yay, big deal. I'll believe it when I see it. And like I said, I'm really hoping it's, like I said, I don't care if it's the Ronnie or not. Just please do not tell me it's another bi-generation. There is word going around that somehow the tariffs do have something to do with what's going on with Doctor Who. But like I said, I don't pay attention to mainstream politics. There's no point. You've got a bunch of these upper crust, super powerful people who are going to do whatever the hell they want. That's what I love about this country. We keep electing ultra-rich people who are not going to do a damn thing for you. They don't care. They don't give a shit about any of you. I'm still trying to figure out how it could affect it, because we're talking about import-export tariffs. I don't know. Like I said, that's okay. At least now they can say Trump killed Doctor Who. They'll go after him instead of Rusty and Chibnall. It's like, don't get me wrong. Like I keep telling people, the problem is it used to be you had one bad apple spoils the bunch, but the problem is you're lucky if you have one good apple in a bunch anymore. And it's kind of sad because a lot of these guys, and here's the thing, there's a lot of people out there, don't get me wrong, who are out there with good intentions. Just like I love the saying, all cops are bastards. Guys, I've known cops who are bastards, and I've known cops who are genuinely out there because they believe they can make a difference and make people's lives better. And they were actually felt like they were serving their community. And then you have, in politics, you have some people who actually believe they're making a difference, and then the majority, a bunch of them are out there, probably the majority of them are out there just to make a buck. Look at how many politicians went in and out of our Congress and came out millionaires and billionaires. Yet they're not making that much money. I think the president only makes like $400K a year. And it's like, yeah, how'd you walk into that office and walk out a multimillionaire? And I can name a few who did. Also, if they cater to some, company's desires, they'll get this nice little, job where they're going to shine a seat with their ass, making way more than they did as a senator or a representative. And that's exactly how it works. To me, the first thing I would do if I was president and all that, I would ban lobbying. Guarantee you there'd be big time differences right off the bat. You might actually get some people in there who give a shit if they aren't getting free stuff from companies and catering to their interests. And if you get caught taking gifts or you get caught lobbying, well, there's going to be some really stiff penalties. Well, the thing is this, I don't live in the UK, so there's nothing I can really do about that. Here, like I said, voting here, everyone's like, you're wasting your vote if you vote for the candidate you want. Because if they're not inside of the two-party dictatorship, as I like to go, I've picked this term up from somebody, but it's true. We haven't had more than two parties in our country in so long that people don't even remember what a third party is. Because independent, well, who are they? Liberals, who are they? You never hear from them because guess what? They're not allowed on debates. Besides, I don't care. Everyone's like, Trump's going to do this, Trump's going to do that. And I'm like, guys, somebody's pulling his strings. I think the last president who genuinely gave a shit about the American people ended up with his head ventilated all over Dealey Plaza. And then his brother, who was going to do the same things, wound up with one to the back of the head, La Mafia style. And if you think I'm joking and making up conspiracy theories about RFK, go look at the actual autopsy report. He died from a shot to the right mastoid bone from less than 2 or 3 inches. And Sirhan's in front of him the whole time. And if for you folks who are curious where the mastoid bone is, just simply take a finger, go right here behind your ear, and you feel that knob? That's your mastoid bone. Now tell me how if he's facing his shooter, he took a shot back here. Executed. And the coroners this time were not military coroners. It had admirals, what you call it, and generals standing in the room. Like his brother. So like I said, the Met Gala was a hoot. I'm not kidding. If you want to see more celebrities trying to be naked in a classy way, or just trying to look stupid and silly, go look at the Met Gala photos. I'm not kidding. Oh no, someone's into carpenter worship. Here we go. Guys, I still can't figure out religion. Why somebody, dies on a cross and now you worship the cross. I don't understand. That's just me, though. I'm not a religious guy. Nope, because it doesn't matter. Somebody somewhere is pulling their strings, and they're people you'll never know. The real power has always lied behind the crown all through history. Okay, that's a good philosophy to have there, Bill. Okay. Oh, well, folks. But like I said, the future is looking kind of bleak for Doctor Who. But like I said, I don't know. Let's wait and see what happens. I don't want to get my hopes up about Susan until I see Susan Foreman on the screen, okay? Not Susan Triad, not Susan Twist. Then I'll be happy. Well, the problem is a lot of the Bible was, oh God, they're going to kill me for this. Everything right down to the Lord's, like I said, I'm not going to go into it. It would take me hours, and I'm already well over time. I'm coming on 17 minutes. I got to get out of here, folks, since it's about time for me to walk into the building. So please, be kind, be calm, be safe, take care of yourselves. Like I said, I don't care who you worship, or whether you do or don't. Like I said, it's just not my thing. I'm not going to belittle anybody for their, religion or anything. Take care, everyone. We'll catch you all on the flip side. And remember, tomorrow night, lucky day on the Omega Files, and I'll see you all here tomorrow morning.